ప్రేక్షకులందరికీ నమస్కారం. భక్తి భారతి ఛానల్ కి స్వాగతం. NayaSwami Devarshi గారు ఇప్పుడు మనతో పాటు ఉన్నారు. మనం లైఫ్ లో ఎన్నో ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ తో సతమతం అవుతూ ఉంటాం. అసలు మన లైఫ్ ఎటు పోతుందో కూడా మనకే కొన్నిసార్లు అర్థం కాదు. ఇలాంటి విషయాలన్నిటి గురించి కూడా చాలా క్లియర్ గా హౌ టు సీ గాడ్, హౌ టు లవ్ గాడ్ అండ్ హౌ టు లవ్ అవర్ సెల్ఫ్స్ అండ్ హౌ టు గెట్ ఇన్ టు సెల్ఫ్ రియలైజేషన్, వీటన్నిటి గురించి కూడా మనకి టీచింగ్స్ అందిస్తూ ఉంటారు. మరి NayaSwami Devarshi గారు రీసెంట్ గా క్రియా యోగా అనే పుస్తకాన్ని రాశారనమాట. ఆయన రాసిన ఎన్నో పుస్తకాల్లో ఇది కూడా ఒక అద్భుతమైన పుస్తకం. సో గురువు గారిని పాలకరించి అసలు పరమహంస యోగానంద గారి గురించి, ఆనంద సంఘ గురించి, అలాగే ఈ క్రియా యోగా గురించి ఎన్నో విషయాలు తెలుసుకుందాం. గురూజీ నమస్తే.
Namaste, Aparna. Thank you.
Right now we all want instantly. We don't want to wait. This generation doesn't want to wait or doesn't want to do a long process things.
Right.
So does Kriya Yoga, the new age thing, does teach such instant spiritual paths?
I'd like to say that it does, but you know, instant results are fleeting also. Anything that promises instant results, that it goes away as quickly as it comes. And this path of Kriya Yoga is not just about having experiences, quote. Yeah, experiences come, and people do have experiences like I did at a very young age, but it's really about establishing a practice and a way of life that, yes, I think most people who pick up the path of Kriya Yoga instantly start to see changes in themselves and very quickly, but it's really about establishing a way of life and a practice that gives us the tools not just to cope with a crazy world, but also to enable us to learn to change ourselves and to make true progress in the sense of really becoming a better human being, more than a miracle worker or you know, a tiger Swami or these things. And this is the beauty of Ananda Sangha. I lived at Ananda Village for many decades. You know, again, most of the last 8 years of my life have been spent there. And I've had the opportunity to see many people come there and be Kriya Yogis for 20, 30, 40, 50 years of their life. And I see people just step by step becoming saints and becoming divine human beings. There was a disciple of Yogananda who said that your religion is tested in the cold, hard light of day. And it's the same thing. Spirituality, the proof of it is in who you become. And what you see with these practices that I have seen, without exception, that people become divine human beings, better parents, better friends, better interviewers, better camera people, better artists, all these things.
They'll just get better in what they are doing.
And because they become just more enlightened, divine souls. And even in practical ways. And so for me, this is the power of Kriya Yoga, is that, yeah, you'll see some early results, but the real power is how it just utterly transforms people. And look at myself. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm great now, but I started from doing drugs and being in that whole world of just being in a completely opposite direction of what you would consider uplifted and spiritual. And so Kriya Yoga, before and after, it really makes that transformation in remarkable ways. It really does, even for people in the world of business and such. I use an example often. There's a friend of mine who, he's a programmer and an inventor, and he invented pretty much single-handedly the app called Swipe, SWYPE, which is the texting app of swiping across the letters. And he started working on this in the early 2000s when I knew him. And he developed it into something that millions and maybe hundreds of millions of phones now use it. And I asked him one time, how did you do this? And his answer was both beautiful and surprising. He said, when I have either a business problem or a programming problem, I sit down and meditate. I practice Kriya Yoga. I pray to Divine Mother, who worships God as the Divine Mother. I pray to Divine Mother for help and guidance, and the answer comes. And so this is, Kriya Yoga and these practices are very real in the way that they help us. It's not necessarily exotic and quick and instant and becoming suddenly a saint or a miracle worker. But over time, without exception, I can say that I've seen the results in everybody I know. And I've known thousands who have pursued this and stayed with it.
So what exactly is Kriya Yoga? Like, as we all know, we do have 3 different kinds of bodies, right? A physical body and an astral body and the soul, real superconscious soul. So where does this start working from?
So Kriya Yoga it's a whole way of life, for one thing. It's also a technique, and I'll get into that. But it's really a whole approach to life. And the technique of Kriya Yoga, it's very simple. It works with the physical breath, but more as a tool for working with the energy within what the yogis call the astral spine in the Sushumna. And it's a tool for awakening that divine energy deep within ourselves and learning to have control over that energy over time. And that is what pranayama is. It's control over this inner energy. And when we have control over that inner energy, then we start to have control over our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions, our ability to act in the right way, to do the right thing, even physically. Kriya yogis tend to be healthier. We know doctors who say they're Kriya yogi patients. They're not perfect health, but they tend to be much healthier than people who are not doing these things, because Kriya Yoga changes us from the inside out. And when I was in grade school, again, this is something that's in the book. It's an experiment that we did of how magnetism works.
Oh.
And in grade school, we took a piece of paper, and many of us maybe have done this. We had a piece of paper, and we put powdered iron filings on the top, and we put a horseshoe magnet underneath.
Right.
And you would rearrange the iron filings, and they would always go back to the underlying magnetism.
Correct.
And most people in this world, to change themselves, they try to change what's on the top, the surface. They change their job, their hair color, their friends, their spouse, and they're rearranging the circumstances of their life. But it always comes back to the underlying magnetism. And so maybe they leave one relationship and they get in a relationship with essentially the same person in another form, because they haven't changed the underlying magnetism.
Right.
And so Kriya Yoga changes the underlying magnetism into a divine, positive way. And it helps people to start to attract success, because success comes through magnetism. People who are positively magnetic rather than always negative. Positive people tend to attract positive friends. They tend to attract success to some degree. But when you change the real core magnetism in a divine way, it really starts to change the outer life in many, many ways, and just including becoming a better programmer and coming up with a divine idea to develop an app like that. So these things are drawn to us through our core magnetism, and Kriya Yoga especially works on that core magnetism by changing us on the inside. And when that happens, everything good comes from that. It starts to express, and this is what a saint is. There's someone who their core magnetism is of just pure divine energy and power, so much so that they can use that magnetism to heal people. And it's because of their magnetism. It's not some special secret mantra they know that heals the person. It's their magnetism that is so strong that it influences other people's magnetism. And where there might be a negative magnetism of ill health, they can heal that magnetism through their own much more powerful magnetism. So Kriya Yoga changes us at the very core of our being. And it is a very deeply inward practice, even though it works with the breath. Some people think it's just a breathing exercise, but it's so much more than that, the way that Yoganandaji taught it. Swami Kriyananda said that when people just treat it as a breathing exercise, he says it's just huffing and puffing is all people are doing. But when you work with it in this very deep central way of working with this divine energy, that's the real Kriya Yoga, and that's how it really works.